Hey y'all. Normally my page is on outdoor stuff. I've actually been lacking for a little while trying to get some things back in order here at the house. But I was told by a coworker that I should probably make a video when I was trying to explain what I was doing this weekend. Uh, I have a fuel pump from AFE that has some problems. Depending on how I edit this video, will depend on how this problem sorts itself or announces itself. But the sight glass on my fuel pump has gone out. It shattered. So I'm going to be replacing it with one of their kit. Uh, it's a aluminum sight glass instead of the standard plastic see-through or poly glass or however you want to say that. But yeah, so I bought their kit and I figured while I'm at it, I'm going to be replacing my fuel filters and doing an oil change. The fuel filter itself for that pump. I do have my stock fuel filters in or on my truck still, so I change all those out. But I guess we'll just get into it and try and show you what it is. It is Saturday morning, trying to beat the heat. It's 8 a.m. so I'm a little late, but people are starting to move around. My neighbor is watering his grass, so I'm sure y'all probably hear that. So in order to do this job, we need a set of 22 millimeter wrenches, and this job is specifically for the AFE pump. As far as my tools go, I will start and stop, I guess, as I'm going through each portion. But fuel pump is my primary right now, so for that job it's the 22 millimeter wrench. I've got a crescent because I've only got one 22, a 5 millimeter hex head, and two 14 millimeter wrenches. And that is for the fuel lines going into those. Those are all AN fittings. That it's a number 8 and I believe a number 2 AN fitting. Anyway, I'll figure that out. I may have to edit some pretty words or something, who knows. And a 10 millimeter, I use the impact socket because I'm lazy and the bolts are long, but that goes with this hex head. I've also got some fittings, and that is so that I can cap those lines while I've got that pump off. Don't drain my diesel everywhere. But from that, yeah, that's gonna be it. As you see to the side, I've got some cheap oil right now. There's still kind of a shortage. I guess it's kind of a shortage. I haven't found my normal oil at a reasonable price, so I've got some cheap stuff that I'm gonna throw in it. I'm sure somebody will yell at me in the comments, but that's gonna work for now. Whether it stays in or I drain it and get some good stuff when I can, that's its own argument. That's a future me problem, and we'll figure it out from there. But stick with me. I'm going to reset the camera, show you where this pump is and how we take it off. Then we'll come back over here to the tailgate and get everything fixed using the AFE kit. But I'll see y'all here in a second. Alright guys, y'all stuck with me so far. Obviously it's only been a couple minutes, but under here, this is behind my passenger door, right above us, and as you can see, I can see, there's a whole lot of diesel flow all over the frame, all over everything under here. Give you an idea of where we're at. Here's my main fuel filter, stock, and this is my secondary AFE. It is I believe it's FS. Oh, there it is, DFS DTS780 AFE. So we're going to end up pulling all of this off so I can repair it. The sight glass up here, which you may not be able to see, is what is cracked. So start off, we're just going to drain this out. So this is the fuel water separator, but we'll do that. And while it's draining, I'm actually going to run and grab my filter wrench because I forgot it over on the toolbox. So I will return and you won't even notice. Alright, so my regular filter wrench has decided to hide from me. I've got chain tongue. So I try not to get all of my tools covered in diesel at the beginning, but it never ends up working out. Especially if you put the damn thing on. So I'm not one to reuse my filters at all. So yeah, me using chain wrench on it, not gonna bother me. Keep the diesel out of your eyes. Almost there. There we go. So that's all the diesel in the filter. There is some still up in the sight glass, which actually kind of surprised. I did it this route, where I removed the filter here, is in order to remove the sight glass, I need to remove this. So again, it's another part that's not on the original tool list because I didn't know the size of that. I'll let y'all know here in a minute though. Alright guys, so the answer for that is this nut inside, in order to remove the sight glass, is a 32 millimeter. So if you don't have that, yeah, I don't know, because there's a lip. I'll show you all this once it's all off. But there's a lip here, so you'll have to get down into it. I would assume you can do it with a crescent. That would seem kind of questionable though. But anyway, let's go ahead. We'll remove these hoses and we'll get them out of the way. And like I said, I do have plugs for this end for the hose itself. I do not have a cap for the pump, but honestly, we're not going anywhere. We're not doing anything. So in my mind, as long as I can get this done relatively quickly, it's no worse than where. That was on a little tighter than the first one. Make sure to check your connections every once in a while if you have one of these pumps, because I did come out about a year or so ago and realized that a couple of these were pretty loose. Obviously that's just lack of paying attention on my part, but you know, it's always worth mentioning. So this is going to drain a little bit out. And all I'm doing is finger tight if I don't throw it at myself. And that's keeping fuel that's in the tank. I'm siphoning this way. What I knew about from previously taking this off is there's a 14 up here on the sight glass, which is a fuel return, I believe. So let's pull that, and then we'll move on. That's your 3 fuel hoses. All right. Oh, really? Oh, I missed all that. So apparently my camera decided to change. There's a 3 fuel lines. I don't know what all I missed. So real quick, 3 fuel lines. These are the 22s, a 14 in the back for a return line, and a electrical for the pump itself. From that, we move on to removing the pump off of this bracket. Somebody get mad because I'm not gonna try to go my way, and I'm gonna have some diesel on the ground. Don't call the EPA. So that's a 5mm hex on top, 5mm hex on top, and these are 10mm nuts. There's 4 of them. If you installed your pump, you already knew this. If you didn't, maybe you're learning. And that's what the page is about. Welcome to YouTube. Alright guys, some of that's probably missed again. I keep rolling over on my remote. So real quick, 5mm hex head. There's 4 nuts, or 4 bolts. Hex head on top, on the bolt side. 10mm on the bottom. Don't lose the nut. I mean, I guess the nut's the least of the issue, but still wouldn't want to lose it. And from that, as you can tell, I tightened the shit out of this, not knowing how bad this was going to be, or how, but these are nylon lock nuts, so you do lose not having to have a lock washer, which is great. I don't know how to edit sounds out. As you can tell, I make a handful of them, especially when I throw diesel on myself. But anyway, that's it. Get out of there. And that's your pump, minus the filter itself, which isn't obviously over here. But we're going to grab both of these, head to the tailgate. I'm going to rebuild this glass. I'll actually show you all, if you can't see it already, what's busted on it. And yeah, see y'all again in a second. Alright guys, so angles, y'all don't need to see me. Y'all haven't seen me in the last section, but what we've got is, without draining diesel all over me again, just got cleaned up. We've got the fuel filter itself, which has a water bowl separator, or water separator bowl, however you want to say it. I tend to pull this portion off and put it back on my my next filter, it does have the water drain. You can kind of see it. I'll show y'all again in a minute after I do the rebuild. But this just has like a little sight glass, and it's cracked as well, so I may drop that and see if AFE has another bowl that I can pick up, because there are, see that, there's all kinds of cracks and shatters in it. I don't think that has too much of an issue, but I didn't think the one that's in the pump was an issue either. So, until it was. So, you know, it's all good until it wasn't. But here's the pump, and you can see, obviously, glass shatter here. We've also got one on this side. And all this is, my pump is probably 7 years old. Maybe 6 or 7 years old, 5 years old. Let's go with 5. Makes it sound like I had it for a little less without doing this maintenance. But yeah, you can see the shatters in that glass. Once I pull it off, I'll inspect it a little bit more, but you can see where on this one you've got a shatter that goes over both seals, as well as one that's actually in the center that I can just see right now. This one over here, you've got one here and one here. Both of those are over the seal, so any crack that goes over the seal obviously unseals. What we were dealing with under there, this is the 32mm nut that it's not on He-Man tight, but it runs that silver pipe that's in the center and has a bolt that goes up here into this cap. And we'll see how that actually, I think that bolt comes from that cap and then threads on bottom. But once we get it open, we'll see everything a little better. I apologize for the dismantling portion of this video. Hopefully I caught everything. Otherwise, there may be a whole bunch of text notes all over the place for what y'all have missed. Do pay attention that this bushing here goes in a certain way. It does have a lip on the inside. And normally I would take photos as I'm taking things apart, but y'all are on my camera. So let's see how bad this is to remove. It's actually feels like it's pretty easy. Just a little bit of wiggly. I mean, at worst, I guess I'd break the glass, but I really don't want to. I'm sure there's somebody who's looking for these, or that's trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong, and yeah, let me know, because it's a little harder than I thought it would be. But I'm really not trying to break anything anymore. I did enough of that before. I do see there's some springs and such that's in this housing, so all right, let me work on this, because you don't want 10 minutes of me struggling with this thing. I'll probably end up editing a bunch of that portion out anyway, and it'll be like 2 minutes instead of 5. So let's see. We'll go with that. No? Okay. Alright, so the answer, as usual, as it comes to be with many things these days, is put down your purse. Obviously, you're not going to break it, or if you do, it's already broken. But what I ended up doing was I got my board out, which is normally actually where the camera is, but it's just a little separator for my bed, and my rubber mallet and got to work on it. Be careful with all threads. You can see that's the silver piece that goes up the sight glass. And what I'm doing now is I'm just slowly working my way around this to get that sight glass off the seal on the top. I'll probably end up figuring out how to do like a sped up portion for this again. We'll see. As always, it seems like as you're moving around, the other side is shortening back up. So you end up double working this or get 2 screwdrivers, but I'm lazy and I don't want to go back up to the garage. Once it gets far enough, try not to have this. So that I keep saying it's a glass. It's a piece of plastic. It's poly. And it's also stuck on that seal again. And you can actually see the crack. The crack in it's pretty good, even after, or more after I did this. But yeah, it's got a pretty nice size crack. What I'm going to try to do is actually flex this on these cracks, see if I can't either shatter it or, yeah, there we go, made it past the seal, so that shouldn't be an issue anymore. Just gotta get it there. Look at that. So as you can see, all these wonderful cracks. It gained a few during all this, but you can actually see, I don't know if you can see, but there's this one here goes all the way through on one side, and it was barely being held in there. But that's it. That is removal. What you want to do is make sure to clean. Mine has a whole lot of gunk, and hell, that was one swipe. But mine has a whole lot of gunk that builds up right here at the seam. Whether it's road grime or, like I said, it's been quite a few years that I've had this one on there, and all I've done is change out the filter. So it was one of those that you know it's going to happen eventually. The way people are these days, I guess 7 years isn't bad. It's the life of somebody's vehicle half the time. So anyway, from that, this is the kit. AFE, and there's the number 4290005, and that is for the aluminum. The 05 is for the aluminum. The 04, find my glass again, there it is, that's the 04. So if you want to do this, when I bought mine last week, the glass replacement was $35. Obviously you're still paying shipping, everything else. The aluminum was $50. So in the long run, I pay the extra $15. I don't have to worry about whatever happened to this. I assume it's just a material, the composite breakdown. Over time, it's going to crack, as we can also see on the sight bowl for the fuel water separator. So I don't know if they have a replacement or an aluminum for that. I personally, I don't think I would go aluminum on that one, just because you want to be able to see the fuel water in it before you drain it. But that's me. I probably wouldn't change out the bottom to an aluminum. So all I'm doing right now is I'm just cleaning up some of these parts. Again, you want to be careful with threads, with ridges. There is a ridge on here, and that's just down in there. But I'm just trying to clean everything up, make sure everything looks good before I put everything back together. And you want to make sure that anything that has where you're going to have fuel go through is as clean as possible. I believe I have some brake cleaner. I'm going to hit it with that before I slap everything back together. And before I change out the seals, because the new seals that are in the kit, sorry I didn't finish that portion. This is the kit. The entire kit is the billet aluminum glass replacement and 2 seals. They don't have any silicone or grease seal for it, so I'm going to assume that it does not require it. We're gonna find out. So yeah, that's that. Let me go grab some brake cleaner, clean this up, and then we'll come back. Alright guys, we're all cleaned up. We're just going to put the new O-rings on the 2 different portions. I'm going to move this box. That way y'all can actually see some of this. Let's actually move this in, and we'll see if we can make this video actually worth something. So we've got our pump and motor, and then this is just the top for the return fuel, and that will go in here. We'll also have our sight glass will slide in. Start off, got our 2 O-rings, and that's just going to go right here on this bottom and this top. And as you can see, they're not super tight. They're not, you're not He-Manning this on. A reference for the 80s. So, even though it looks like I'm putting this on upside down, when I put it on correctly, it goes on like so. We're actually going to spin this. We want to make sure that our return line is going towards the back, and that is, at least for the way mine took off, my intake is over here, my output is over here, and we've got our return line. We just want to make sure that we are facing back towards the frame, and that is paying attention whenever we take it off and whenever we take it apart. So that being done, we've got a little bit of thread underneath. Sorry, paying attention to what I'm looking at and not what is going on. So from that, what I'm going to end up doing, since we do have thread, is I'm going to flip it, make sure everything's aligned correctly, try and get this to where it is in frame, and I'm just going to take our bushing and start wrenching down on it. We want to make sure that as this is coming in, that it is coming down even on these 2 seals. What I'll probably do is go get my ratchet and start this video from there. Alright, so went and got my 32mm ratchet, which will fit right here. And as we know, we don't want to get any metal in here, so we don't want to have shavings. We also want to pay attention, like I said, to the seals. I'm just going to try to get a little bit of pressure over it, and that way it'll push down over the seals before I start doing that, and that way I can make sure nothing's cut. And we see we actually gained quite a bit on that just from that portion. But that's going to be it for here. We will cinch that up. It feels like this bottom is closed. We're just trying to get this top down. You can see it's got some gap to it. So we'll do that. We'll get back onto it, and then we'll slap all this back together and put it back under the truck. So one thing I did notice is as soon as it gets over that seal, it is super easy. It's just that seal that fights it. So once you're over the seal, probably do that by hand, or not by hand, but by body weight. Should probably be a lot simpler and a lot nicer to the seals. But we just really don't want to go Hulk and try to excuse me, and try to force everything over and end up cutting a seal. All right, so we're back under the truck, same areas, obviously, because everything that I took out is going to be put back in. Let me see if I can angle this to where y'all can see it. So what we've done is we've brought our pump back down. We do want to make sure that all of our lines are out of the way whenever we put it back in. And I've got all my, actually let me check this real fast. I've got one washer that's in a spot, and one, there we go. Let me put that one back in first before I forget. So all of this will realign, and this is actually the simple part, is throwing this all back together. You just do everything backwards. That's it. But I figure if I'm going to start a video, I'm going to end a video and make sure that the entire process is covered. And then I'll let y'all know how long this actually took me, which is definitely not NASCAR speeds. With all my going around, checking everything, and now wondering why this one has an extra washer. That's kind of fun. Double check my others. I'm gonna say it's on this one. Yep. Nope. That one's got one. All right. Well, I have an extra washer, which means that I made it better. That's what it always means. You have extra parts, you improved on their design. I'll find out later where that washer goes, but apparently not right now. So all I do is hand tight. Like I said earlier, these are nylon washers, or nylon nut. So nothing to them. Everything goes on nice and easy. .5mm hex head, 10mm socket. Now I'm just going to barely tighten and get this all snug up here in a second. Get on. So earlier, I kept rolling over on my remote, so I don't know, that's another reason why I'm showing this going back in, is because I'm not sure what all I caught. So I'm not going to go review my videos and then come back to this. Because I'm already on here once, I don't want to do it a second time. Which honestly, I've done that already too. This is my second time under here because I had to pull it off so that I could contact AFE with what was wrong. And that is not on AFE at all. That is me not being able to see what the hell I was looking at. So those are on. We're going to reattach our fuel lines and our electrical. I'm going to go ahead and put my electrical on, simply because that'll be the part that I forget. And make sure that this latches. I'm not ever real super worried, because for the most part I've been pretty good on it, but it wouldn't be the first time that the electrical pigtail decided it didn't want to be together. And while that's not a big deal sitting in your driveway, it is whenever you're driving down the highway and go to pass somebody and all of a sudden you don't have fuel. So I just attached the return fuel line. And there's the cap and the plug. That is the 14mm wrench. And you just want to make sure that that is snug on there and it's not going to come off. From there we will reattach our fuel line from the tank. I have diesel on me, so I'm going to put that there. Yeah, not too bad. And this does have a 90°, which puts a little bit of pressure on the hose, in my opinion. So as you're attaching this one, it tends to get stuck or feel like it's stuck. And if you just wiggle the hose, it normally gives it enough, literally, wiggle room in order to make that connection slide on a little easier. That is a 22mm. And you again want to make sure that it's snug. 22mm size for the stock that they send, the stock hose that they send. Not stock to the truck, stock to the pump. 22mm wrench. It is a 10, or sorry, it is an 8 AN fitting. Diesel in the face. Awesome. Just the breakfast I wanted. So once this one is on, this is the output for the pump on this size, or on this side. Again, 8 AN, 22mm fitting. Come on, act right. There we go. All right. So that is the pump installed again. And what I tend to do, toss your electrical hose, electrical conduit, pigtail, whatever the hell you want to call it. Your electrical line goes back into your frame. I'm covered in diesel, which is normal. This will then, very simply, there's your filter. There we go. Nice and gentle with it. And that's the AFE DTS780 fuel pump. It's been rebuilt. Hopefully that gets rid of my leak issue, which will also help my mileage. Pen to paper, not electronic, because it's only reading up at the engine. But pen to paper, my mileage sucks right now because I was losing so much driving to work. Anyway, it's a whole nother story. Hopefully this helps somebody. I hadn't seen anything about that sight glass being replaced or replaceable. AFE tech Michael Kane? I think that's his name. He's the one that helped me. So AFE, if you ever see this, help that guy out. He needs it. He doesn't need it. He deserves it. That's wrong wording. But yeah, or reach out to me. If AFE sees it, reach out to me. I'll tell you exactly who it is, who helped me. But that's going to be it for this video. Pretty sure it was probably pretty long by the end of all the edits. So I'm going to let y'all get back to rat killing. I'm going to continue with my other filters. I might make some videos on it. There's plenty of them though. Not so many on this one. I'll talk to y'all later. Let me know how it goes.